The Silent Sentinels. The Collective Council of Allied Worlds had convened an emergency session for the third time in a standard galactic month. Representatives from 17 species huddled around the massive crystalline table, their variously shaped appendages trembling with anxiety as holographic displays showed the latest devastation. The Nix-9 colony has fallen, announced High Minister Tezil, his 6 eyes blinking in rapid sequence, a sign of extreme distress among the Valerian people. 30 million citizens, gone in less than a rotation cycle. Ambassador Krith of the Saurian Confederation tapped a talon against the table. That makes 26 systems conquered by the Kalari Imperium in under a standard year. Their advance is accelerating. The Kalari will reach the Procyon sector within 2 months, added General Kex, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the grim projections on the displays. My people cannot withstand another assault. Our defenses are exhausted. A heavy silence fell across the chamber, broken only by the low hum of environmental systems adjusting to accommodate the various atmospheric needs of the assembled delegates. Have the humans responded yet? Ilara sat back in her chair. It might. Pull everything we have on the Kalari expansion pattern. And get me Admiral Chen. We may need to convene an emergency response committee. Harris looked surprised. Just because someone filled out a form properly? In 300 years of monitoring galactic communications, Lieutenant, less than a dozen non-human entities have successfully navigated our bureaucracy. When one does, I find it's usually worth paying attention. As Harris left, Ilara turned to the window overlooking the sprawling IRD complex. Beyond the gleaming buildings lay Seattle, its skyline dotted with towers reaching impossibly high into the cloudy sky, connected by transparent skyways where tiny figures moved about their daily business. 300 years of isolation policy had served Earth well. After the disaster at Proxima Centauri, humanity's first and last attempt at playing galactic peacekeeper, the Earth Directorate for Interstellar Containment and Threat Deterrence, EDICT, had been formed with a clear mandate: observe, but do not engage unless directly threatened. The policy had transformed Earth into something of a galactic myth. Humans rarely ventured beyond their solar system in significant numbers. Their technology had advanced to staggering levels, but they shared little of it. Earth-made products were rare, expensive, and coveted across the galaxy. Human diplomatic missions were even rarer. Most species believed Earth was either paranoid, arrogant, or simply uninterested in galactic affairs. Few understood the truth. Earth was watching everything, cataloging every conflict, documenting every atrocity, and waiting for the right moment to act. Ilara's secure communicator chimed. Admiral Chen's holographic figure appeared above her desk. Commander Voss, the Admiral said without preamble, I've reviewed the Centauri submission. Convene your team. Response level elevated to Charlie. Ilara straightened. Sir, that supersedes standard protocols for. I'm aware, Chen interrupted, but intel suggests the Kalari advance has a specific pattern. They're methodically eliminating all potential rivals before making a move on major powers. And Earth qualifies as a major power. Indeed, the Centauri's analysis matches our own. The Kalari are clearing a path to our doorstep. They've been careful to avoid any direct provocations that would trigger our intervention protocols. Smart, Ilara muttered. Too smart for a species that was pre-spaceflight a century ago, Chen agreed. There's more to this than conquest for conquest's sake. Ilara nodded. I'll assemble my team immediately. One more thing, Commander. Authorize access to the Sentinel archives for this operation. Full spectrum. Ilara couldn't hide her surprise. The Sentinel archives contained Earth's most classified intelligence on alien civilizations, including contingency plans for neutralizing them if necessary. Access was rarely granted, even to high-ranking IRD officers. Understood, Admiral. How public should our response be? Chen's holographic face remained impassive, for now, utterly silent. Let them think we're still buried in paperwork. A slight smile crossed his face. Meanwhile, prepare everything. After the Admiral's image faded, Ilara sat motionless for a moment. Then she pressed a sequence on her communicator. Lieutenant Harris, priority alert to all IRD division heads. Authorization code VOS 9. Alpha Echo 3. Operation status. Active. Response level. Charlie. She paused, then added, and Harris, tell the communications team to send a preliminary acknowledgement to the Ceteri ambassador. Standard bureaucratic language. Estimated response time of 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Commander. The Kaleri could conquer 3 more systems by then. Exactly, Ilara said, her voice hardening. We need those 2 weeks, and the Kaleri need to believe we're still not paying attention. The breaking storm. Supreme War Master Karax of the Kaleri Imperium stood before the tactical display, his scaled hand passing through the holographic representation of the Protean sector. His 4 eyes, evolved for hunting across vast plains on the Kaleri homeworld, narrowed as he studied the projected fleet movements. The Saurian resistance has collapsed entirely, reported Sub-Commander Vex. Their remaining battle groups are retreating toward the Arcturus Junction. Good, Karax rumbled, his translator implant converting the complex clicking of his native language into standard galactic common. Divert the 8th and 12th battle groups to pursue. No survivors. And the captured worlds, Supreme Warmaster. Standard protocol. Harvest technology. Appropriate resources. Conscript suitable populations for labor. Eliminate resistance leaders. Karax turned his attention to another sector of the display. What of the human observation posts? Vex hesitated. They remain passive. Supreme Warmaster. They observe our advances, but take no action. Their communications continue to be internal only. And our probes. Our attempts to penetrate their surveillance networks have been unsuccessful. Earth's security systems are unlike anything we've encountered. Karax made a sharp clicking sound, a gesture of frustration. 3 centuries of isolation have made them complacent. They believe themselves untouchable. With respect, Supreme Warmaster, historical records suggest human military capability surpasses. Historical records, Karax interrupted, are written by the victorious. The humans retreated from galactic affairs after one minor setback at Proxima Centauri. Their technology may be advanced, but they lack the will to use it. He gestured to the far edge of the tactical display, where a small blue icon represented Earth's solar system. We will continue our advance as planned. When the time comes, Earth will face the same choice as all others: submit or be destroyed. Lieutenant Mira Okafor scrolled through the data from the Sentinel archives, her eyes widening as she absorbed the information. She looked up to see Commander Voss and the rest of the response team watching her expectantly. Well? Ilara asked. What do we know about Kaleri physiology that isn't in the standard databases? Mira cleared her throat. The Kaleri evolved from apex predators on a high-gravity world. Their bodies are dense with muscle tissue and reinforced skeletal structures. Their metabolic rate is extraordinary. They can process energy at 3 times the efficiency of most carbon-based life forms, which explains their rapid expansion, noted Dr. Wen, the team's xenobiologist. They require immense resources to sustain their population growth. There's more, Mira continued. The Sentinel probes identified something unusual about their neural structure. The Kaleri appear to possess a form of distributed consciousness. Individual Kaleri maintain autonomy, but they can temporarily link minds during combat situations. A hive mind? Asked Harris. Not exactly, Mira replied. More like a combat network. It gives them incredible tactical coordination. Ilara frowned. That would explain how they've outmaneuvered every defensive strategy the Allied worlds have attempted. They're essentially a single coordinated organism in battle. Is there a central node? Asked Colonel Rivera, the military strategist assigned to their team. Something coordinating the network. Mira nodded slowly. According to these readings, their flagship carriers house amplification chambers. Senior commanders use them to extend the range and power of the neural network. A weakness, Rivera said, leaning forward. Target the amplification chambers, and you might disrupt their entire command structure. If we can get close enough, Harris pointed out. The Kaleri maintained tight defensive formations around their command vessels. Ilara turned to the final member of their team, a quiet woman who had said little since the meeting began. Dr. Kimura, you've studied the Kaleri weapons technology. Any insights? Dr. Natsume Kimura adjusted her glasses. Their weapons are impressive but conventional. Antimatter cannons, gravitational disruptors, standard plasma arrays. Nothing we haven't seen before. She paused. What's more interesting is what they don't use. Explain, Ilara prompted. No quantum-based weaponry. No dimensional phasing. No consciousness disruptors. Kimura's voice grew confident as she warmed to her subject. From a technological standpoint, they're actually quite predictable. So they're vulnerable to our more advanced systems, Rivera said. Theoretically, yes, but we haven't deployed those technologies in open conflict for centuries. The Kaleri likely don't even know they exist. Ilara nodded slowly, which gives us the element of surprise. She turned to the central display. What's the status of the Allied world's resistance? Harris brought up a strategic map. Not good. The Saurian defense forces are in full retreat. The Valerian home system is preparing for siege. The Ceteri have withdrawn to their core worlds and activated their planetary shields. And the Kaleri, continuing their methodical advance. At current rates, they'll secure the entire Procyon sector within 10 days. Ilara's communicator chimed. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen. Commander Voss, the Directorate has reviewed your preliminary assessment. Response level elevated to Bravo. You are authorized to initiate preparatory operations. Ilara felt a rush of adrenaline. Response level Bravo hadn't been authorized since the Proxima incident 3 centuries ago. Understood. Admiral. Timeline. The 7th Fleet has been activated. Phantom-class vessels are moving into position at the edge of the Procyon sector. The Diplomatic Courts has prepared a communication to the Allied Worlds Council. And the Kaleri. Chen's expression hardened. Standard protocol. One warning, clearly delivered. Then they faced the consequences of their decisions. After the Admiral's image disappeared, the room remained silent for a moment. Well, Harris finally said, I guess Earth is finally checking its inbox. Despite the gravity of the situation, a few smiles flickered across the team's faces. All right, Ilara said, standing. Dr. Kimura, I want detailed schematics for deploying Q-phase disruptors against their command vessels. Colonel Rivera, work with Fleet Command on tactical approaches that will maximize our advantage. Mira, continue analyzing the neural network data. Find me a way to turn their greatest strength into their greatest vulnerability. As the team dispersed, Ilara remained at the display, studying the Kaleri fleet formations. After 3 centuries of watching from the sidelines, Earth was about to return to galactic affairs in spectacular fashion. Harris, she called out as the lieutenant was leaving. Send a final acknowledgement to the Ceteri ambassador. Tell him his Form 37B has been processed successfully and Earth will be responding immediately. First contact. Last warning. Incoming transmission. Announced the communications officer aboard the Kaleri command vessel Inevitable Dominion. Origin. Earth. Supreme War Master Karak straightened, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Earth? Directly. Yes, Supreme War Master. They are requesting direct communication with you personally. A murmur ran through the command deck. For many Kaleri officers, this was unprecedented. Earth had maintained its policy of non-engagement for longer than most of them had been alive. Accept the transmission, Karax ordered, his voice betraying no emotion. Full visual. The main view screen flickered, then revealed a human female in a crisp dark uniform adorned with subtle insignia. Her dark skin contrasted with short silver hair, and her eyes held the steady gaze of someone accustomed to authority. Supreme Warmaster Karax of the Kalari Imperium. She began without preamble. I am Admiral Elena Chen of the Earth Defense Directorate. I'll be brief as I understand you have a war to conduct. Karax made the Kalara gesture of acknowledgement, a slight tilt of his head that exposed one of his neck vulnerabilities, a traditional show of confidence. Admiral Chen, Earth has chosen to remain silent through our conquest of 26 systems. Why speak now? Chen's expression remained impassive. The Earth Directorate has completed processing the formal complaints filed against the Kalari Imperium by the Allied Worlds Council. We are now prepared to issue our response. Karax fought to hide his surprise at the bureaucratic answer. And that response is, withdraw your forces from all occupied territories immediately. Return to your recognized boundaries as established by the Galactic Concordat of 2387. Provide reparations to affected worlds according to Schedule C of the Interstellar Conflict Resolution Protocols. A harsh clicking sound. Kalari laughter erupted from Karax. Or what, Admiral? Earth will send strongly worded communications. Your people have hidden behind your atmosphere for 3 centuries, while the galaxy evolved without you. Chen's expression remained unchanged. Supreme Warmaster, I'm required by Earth Directive 17-3 to inform you that failure to comply with these terms within 48 standard hours will result in direct military intervention. Now Karax didn't bother hiding his amusement. The Valerians had a fleet of 5,000 warships. The Saurians had planetary defense systems developed over millennia. All fell before us. What exactly does Earth think it can do that they could not? For the first time, a hint of expression crossed Chen's face, something almost like pity. We've studied your campaign extensively, Supreme Warmaster. Your tactics are impressive. Your neural combat network revolutionary. You've calculated every variable, anticipated every counter-strategy. She paused. Except one. And what is that? You've never faced humans in battle. Chen's voice remained calm, almost conversational. There's a reason we withdrew after Proxima Centauri. It wasn't fear. It was recognition of what we're capable of when provoked. Karax's amusement faded. Threats do not become you, Admiral. Not threats. Historical context. Chen glanced down, apparently checking something off-screen. Your fleet will detect a small diplomatic vessel approaching your position shortly. It carries representatives authorized to discuss terms of your withdrawal. I suggest you receive them. Before Karax could respond, the transmission ended. Sub-Commander Vex approached cautiously. Supreme Warmaster, our sensors have detected a small vessel emerging from FTL at the edge of the system. It appears to be on an approach vector. A single diplomatic vessel, Karax mused. Analyze it thoroughly. Weapons, defenses, unusual energy signatures. Already in progress, Supreme Warmaster. Initial scans show minimal armaments, standard defensive shields. It appears to be exactly what they claimed, a diplomatic shuttle. Karax stared at the tactical display, watching the tiny crafts approach. Something felt wrong. The humans had remained isolated for centuries, developing technology that was rumored to be decades beyond anything in active use across the galaxy. Yet here they were, sending an unarmed diplomatic vessel into the heart of a Kalari battle fleet. Prepare a reception detail, he finally ordered. I will meet these diplomats myself. The diplomatic shuttle Olive Branch maintained a steady course toward the massive Kalari flagship. On the bridge, Ambassador Julian Wade turned to his companion. They're scanning us, aren't they? Commander Ilara Voss nodded, not looking up from her display. Continuously. They're being thorough. Will they find anything concerning? No, Ilara replied. This vessel is exactly what it appears to be, a diplomatic shuttle with minimal defensive capabilities. Wade adjusted his formal attire. a charcoal suit that had been meticulously designed to appear non-threatening while still conveying authority. As Earth's senior diplomatic officer, he had conducted hundreds of first contact scenarios in simulation. This was his first actual field mission. "You seem remarkably calm for someone flying directly into an enemy fleet," he observed. Ilara glanced up, a faint smile on her lips. "Who said anything about enemy? At this moment, we're simply delivering a message they won't accept." "Probably not. But protocol requires we make the attempt through proper channels." The shuttle's pilot turned in his seat. "Ambassador, Commander, we're receiving docking instructions from the Kaleri flagship." "Acknowledged," Wade replied. He took a deep breath. "Remember the briefing. The Kaleri value strength and directness. No diplomatic flourishes, no extended courtesies." "I've studied their psychological profiles," Ilara said. "Supreme War Master Karax, in particular, has a reputation for respecting worthy adversaries." "Let's hope we qualify," Wade murmured as the shuttle's engines adjusted for final approach. The docking process was smooth and efficient. When the airlock opened, they were met by 6 Kaleri warriors in full battle armor, their scaled skin gleaming under the harsh lighting of the docking bay. "Ambassador Wade, Commander Voss," announced the lead Kaleri in perfect galactic common. "I am Combat Leader Thrak. Supreme War Master Karax awaits you in the command chamber." The corridors of the Kaleri vessel were utilitarian but impressive. High ceilings accommodating the tall Kaleri physiology, walls decorated with what appeared to be battle trophies from conquered worlds. Ilara noted with professional interest the various security checkpoints, weapon emplacements, and the efficiency with which the crew operated. The command chamber was a vast circular room dominated by a 3-dimensional tactical display showing the current position of the Kaleri fleet in relation to nearby star systems. Supreme War Master Karax stood before it, his imposing figure nearly 3 meters tall. "Ambassador Wade, Commander Voss." Karax greeted them, performing the minimal gesture of respect required by diplomatic protocol. "Welcome aboard the inevitable Dominion." Wade returned the gesture precisely. "Supreme War Master, we appreciate your willingness to receive us." "Curiosity, Ambassador. Earth has been silent for so long that when you finally speak, even I must listen." Karax gestured to the tactical display. "Though I suspect this meeting will be brief. As you can see, my forces are already moving to secure the Arcturus junction. Once that falls, the entire quadrant will be open to us." "That's precisely why we're here," Wade said. "To prevent unnecessary bloodshed." Karax made the Kaleri equivalent of a smile, a bearing of razor-sharp teeth that evolved for tearing flesh. "Bloodshed is only unnecessary when victory can be achieved without it, as we have demonstrated 26 times now." Wade nodded to Ilara, who stepped forward and activated a small device. A holographic document appeared between them. "The terms of withdrawal, as specified by Admiral Chen," she explained. "Earth is prepared to provide guarantees of Kaleri territorial integrity within your established boundaries. In return, you will withdraw from all occupied systems and provide specified reparations." Karax studied the document briefly before waving it away. "Rejected. The Kaleri Imperium does not retreat. We expand. We conquer. We dominate." His 4 eyes fixed on them with predatory intensity. "Earth has hidden behind its borders for centuries. You've forgotten how the galaxy truly operates." "On the contrary," Wade countered smoothly. "We've been watching very carefully. Your conquest has been impressive, but ultimately unsustainable. Your supply lines are overextended. Your newly subjugated populations require constant supervision. Your resource consumption exceeds your acquisition rate by approximately 17% per standard month." For the first time, Karax showed a flicker of surprise. "Your intelligence is detailed." "Earth doesn't intervene often," Ilara said quietly, "but we observe everything." "Observation without action is cowardice," Karax declared. "Or patience," Wade suggested. "Supreme War Master, this is your only warning. Withdraw your forces, or Earth will be forced to take action." Karax laughed, the harsh clicking sound echoing in the chamber. "With what? Your defense fleet hasn't left your home system in decades. Your military technology, while advanced, has never been tested in actual combat against modern weapons." "There's a human saying," Ilara said, her voice still calm. "Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence." "Enough riddles," Karax snapped. "Your diplomatic mission has been received. Your terms are rejected. You have 20 minutes to return to your vessel and depart." As they were escorted back toward the docking bay, Wade maintained perfect diplomatic composure. Only when they were aboard their shuttle did he let out a long breath. "That went exactly as expected," he noted. "Yes," Ilara agreed, activating her secure communicator. "Admiral, diplomatic approach rejected as anticipated. We are departing the Kaleri flagship now." Chen's voice came through clearly. "Understood, Commander. You have 90 seconds to clear minimum safe distance." "Acknowledge." "Acknowledged," Ilara replied. She turned to the pilot. "Maximum thrust once we clear the docking clamps. Get us 5 light seconds away, then hold position." Wade looked at her with raised eyebrows. "Minimum safe distance from what?" "From the demonstration," Ilara said simply as the shuttle detached and accelerated away from the Kaleri flagship. Exactly 90 seconds later, as their shuttle reached the specified coordinates, a small object materialized seemingly from nowhere 3 kilometers from the Kaleri command vessel. It was spherical, no larger than a standard escape pod, and emitted no energy signature detectable by conventional sensors. On the Kaleri flagship, alarms sounded as the object was detected. "Unknown device, proximity alert," called out a sensor officer. "Defensive systems, target and destroy," ordered Sub-Commander Vex. Before the Kaleri weapons could lock on, the sphere pulsed once, a brief flash of blue-white light that rippled outward in a perfect expanding ring. Aboard the Olive Branch, Wade watched in astonishment as every light on the massive Kaleri flagship winked out simultaneously. The vessel didn't explode or break apart. It simply went dark, drifting slightly off its previous position. "What was that?" he whispered. "Quantum phase disruptor," Ilara replied matter-of-factly. "Non-lethal variant. It temporarily disconnects matter from the electromagnetic force. Every electronic system on that ship just stopped. They're completely disabled. For approximately 6 minutes, long enough to make our point without killing anyone." As if on cue, Admiral Chen's voice came through the communicator again. "Commander Voss, initiate Phase 2. A moment later, space seemed to shimmer around them. Where there had been empty void, suddenly 50 Earth vessels appeared. Sleek, angular ships with no visible weapons ports or engine exhausts. They had been there all along, hidden by technology that the Kaleri sensors couldn't detect. "Phase cloaking," Ilara explained to the stunned ambassador. "Standard equipment on all Earth defense vessels for the past century." The Earth ships moved into a perfect formation surrounding the disabled Kaleri flagship. As they watched, the lights on the Kaleri vessel began to flicker back to life. "Open a channel to Supreme War Master Karax," Chen's voice ordered. When the connection established, Karax's face appeared on their view screen. The Supreme War Master looked shaken but quickly composed himself. "An impressive trick, Admiral," he said, his translator struggling to maintain his dignified tone. "But shutting down one vessel doesn't win a war." "Look at your long-range sensors, Supreme War Master," Chen replied calmly. "Similar devices have been deployed near every major vessel in your fleet. Additionally, Earth Defense Forces now hold position at every strategic point throughout the sector." The camera view widened to show the Kaleri tactical display, where hundreds of Earth vessels had suddenly appeared throughout the region, surrounding the Kaleri forces completely. "Impossible," Karax whispered. "Our advanced scouts would have detected." "Your technology cannot detect ships in quantum phase," Chen interrupted. "We could have deployed these forces at any time over the past month. The diplomatic approach was a courtesy, not a necessity." Carax's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this information. "What are your terms?" he finally asked, his voice subdued. "They haven't changed. Withdrawal, reparations, compliance with galactic law." Chen's voice remained level. "You have 48 hours. This demonstration was non-lethal. The next will not be." As the transmission ended, Wade turned to Ilara. "That's it. They'll just retreat now." Ilara shook her head. "Unlikely. The Kaleri evolved as apex predators. They respect strength but don't surrender easily. This was just to make them reconsider their assumptions about Earth." "What happens when the 48 hours are up?" Ilara's expression turned grim. "Then we show them why Earth has kept its most advanced technologies hidden for 3 centuries. The Silent Symphony." 47 hours and 38 minutes after Earth's ultimatum, the Kaleri launched their counterattack. It began with a desperate gamble, a massive coordinated strike against what their sensors identified as the command ship of the Earth fleet. 300 Kaleri warships dropped out of FTL simultaneously, surrounding the Earth vessel Indomitable and unleashing their full weapons arsenal. On the bridge of the Earth flagship Vigilant, Admiral Chen watched the attack unfold on the tactical display. "The Kaleri have committed nearly a third of their fleet to the assault on the Indomitable," reported her tactical officer. "Energy readings suggest they've overcharged their weapon systems. They're exceeding safety protocols." Chen nodded calmly. "As expected. Status of the Indomitable: defensive shields holding at 97%. No damage to critical systems." On the main view screen, they watched as the Indomitable, a vessel barely a quarter the size of the Kaleri flagship, absorbed the combined firepower of 300 enemy warships. The space around it warped and distorted as energy weapons, antimatter torpedoes, and gravitational disruptors hammered against its defenses. "They're throwing everything they have at what they think is our command vessel," Chen observed. "Predictable. Captain Shu, is the Indomitable's crew ready?" The communications officer nodded. "Captain Marquez reports all systems go. Q-phase generators at optimal capacity. Give the order." A moment later, the Indomitable seemed to shimmer, its outline becoming indistinct. The barrage of Kaleri weapons suddenly passed through the space it occupied, continuing into empty space beyond. The Earth vessel hadn't moved. It had partially phased out of normal spacetime, becoming intangible to conventional matter and energy. "Phase shift successful," reported the tactical officer. "The Indomitable is now executing Liberation Protocol." On the tactical display, they watched as the Earth vessel began to move, not away from the Kaleri ships surrounding it, but directly through them. Its phase-shifted state allowed it to pass through solid matter, as if it weren't there. As the Indomitable passed through each Kaleri vessel, it left behind small devices, phase bombs calibrated to disable rather than destroy. One by one, the Kaleri warships went dark, their systems overloaded by the quantum disruption effect. "Impressive," murmured Commander Voss, who stood at Chen's side. 300 ships neutralized without a single casualty." "That's the point," Chen replied. "We're not here to massacre them, just to stop their expansion." Supreme War Master Carax, his